Hey there, it's your friendly neighbor Pokédex here with a special report from U.S. Nationals. There's a breakout deck, surprise deck that is all the hype right now. Everyone on Burbank City, the Facebook group, is talking about this deck. I don't think it's invincible, but I think it's pretty interesting, so I'm playing this deck for you guys right now with a special edition of Pokédex. So it's a Wailord DX deck, and it uses this massive 250 HP on a basic Pokemon to just tank, sit there, heal the damage over and over again. We do not play energy and we do not attack with this deck. We just sit there and hope our opponent decks out. That's basically it. Because Lysan's trump card was banned, there's no way for the opponent to shuffle cards back, so there's no way for them to stop our winning condition, which is decking out. The only thing they can do is be really quick and just knock out our Wailords, but hopefully the rest of the deck is going to prevent that by healing the damage over and over and over again. So let's just jump right into the deck. Maybe in the end of the video I'll talk about ways to defeat it, but right now let's just look into this list and then maybe play a game, which is going to be probably a really long game. So there's 4 Wailord DX in here. I've seen people play Suicune, a single Suicune, which would work really nicely if we play Suicune and it's like we force the opponent to play the 7 prize game, but when we start with Suicune it's really bad. One of the problems with this deck is that if the opponent is playing a quick deck, like a Raichu deck or something like that, they can knock out Suicune really quickly. And one of the most games I've lost with this deck is when I cannot find the second Wailord or the second Pokemon at all. And because that turns off a lot of our healing cards like the AZ and the Cassius and the Super Scoop Up. So I figured that playing Suicune was going to hurt us a lot, so I just cut it out completely. So we're playing 4 Wailord DX. Hopefully we have a couple of them in the deck, because we do not draw prizes. Some of them might get stuck there, hopefully not all of them. So this deck sometimes kind of loses to itself, but oh well. We have 4 Crushing Hammer, 2 Enhanced Hammer, and 3 Team Flare Grunts, sorry, not 4. For energy removal, I'm not playing Headringers, and I'm not playing the other Team Flare tool, which is Chaminade either, because I was playing them at first, but we kind of have to draw them in our starting hand, because we do not have a lot of card draw, and the opponent does, so they're bound to stick their own tools before we do. Before we get a chance, so I'd have to play a lot of them just to be able to put them on the opponent, and in the later stages of the game they just get stuck in our hand. So I do not want to spend a lot of slots in the deck with Team Flare tools, so I just cut them completely. I'm just playing this Disruption suit, so it's the Hammers and the Team Flare Grunt, which we can bring back later with the VS Seeker if it comes down to that. Maybe we could play Zerozic in here to remove some tools, but I just wanted to have a lot of the same cards just to be sure to draw them. So there's 3 Dive Ball. It might seem like we should be playing the 4th because it's really good in the early stages of the game. As I said, one of the ways that we can lose is not drawing the second Pokemon, but actually you can grab them with Skyla, which I think Skyla is really good, but we'll get there. So we're playing 3 Ultra Ball so that we do not have a lot of those in the later stages of the game, and we hopefully will just draw more healing cards. We have 1 Dowsing Machine. The other aspect that it's probably a good consideration for this deck is the Scoop Up Cyclone, but I think Dowsing Machine actually does all that Scoop Up Cyclone does, because we can still grab an AZ or something like that from the discard pile, and it just affords us more flexibility, so we can, for example, grab a Weakness Policy or something like that. So Dowsing Machine, really good. Discarding 2 cards, not the greatest, but sometimes we get a lot of repeat cards like Stadiums and such, and we can just discard them and not worry too much about that. There's 4 Max Potion, which is a perfect healing card for this deck since we do not play energy. I mean, we just play this and we heal off all damage, and that's pretty awesome. There's 4 Super Scoop Up. They kind of do the same as Max Potion, but we need the second Pokemon down, and we need to flip heads. So kind of unfortunate. Hopefully we will be hitting the heads. There's 4 Trick Shovel, would love to cut them, but we cannot cut this card from the deck, unfortunately, because if the opponent knows what's up, they will not play a lot of cards, they will just keep them in hand. So Trick Shuffle kind of breaks the symmetry, so it makes it so that our opponent has less cards in the deck than we do, and we can win that way. So Trick Shuffle is kind of a must-have. There's 4 VS Seeker to grab our supporters back. We have a lot of healing supporters, and VS Seeker just turns into one of those. There's 4 AZ as far as supporters go. As I said, it's a scoop up that you don't need to flip to, but it does discard the tools attached, unfortunately. But oh well, not the worst. There's Cassius in here. It kind of does the same as AZ. It's worse because we then need to find a Pokemon again, but it does shuffle stuff back into our deck. So maybe in the later stages of the game, Cassius is way better just because it puts stuff back into our deck that we can draw into again. There's 3 U, and this card, it's kind of an interesting supporter. It says that each player draws cards or discards cards until he has 5 cards on his or her hand. So if the opponent is just refusing to play cards and just going for the late N, Hue is really good because it just forces the opponent to discard until he has 5, and we just get rid of a lot of cards that way, which won't go into the deck again. Sometimes we use it to just draw ourselves cards, because we do not have a lot of draw, and it won't draw a lot of cards, but sometimes we can afford that because the opponent already has gone down into a lot of cards, so we don't really mind drawing cards ourselves, so that's kind of good that way. I'm playing 3, we can grab him back with a VS Seeker as well. So all in all, it's an interesting card that fixes some problems with this deck. I'm playing a couple of Pokemon Center Lady just because of poison. It also heals 60 damage, so if the opponent does not have a lot of pressure, it's actually a really good healing card. If we're playing, I don't know, the Hard Charm and the Rough Seas, that's already 50 damage, plus the Pokemon Center Lady, that's 110 damage. So if the opponent does not have a crazy damage deck, it's actually a pretty decent healing card, but it's mostly for the poison because that just piles up a lot of damage. Also, we can bring it back with the VS Seeker once again. There's 4 Skyla. I really like this card. I don't think any list that I saw right now is playing Skyla, but I like it a lot just because in the early stages of the game it's a dive ball. Sorry, it's not an ultra ball. So it turns into a Pokemon, and that's perfect. And it can grab pretty much any card in our deck, so it's a tutor for anything. And we can just go for the slow supporter that heals in the early stages of the game when we can afford the time, and when we can't, we can just go for the max potion. That's really, really good. We can also go grab the weakness policy that I tacked into this deck. There's the Team Flare Grunt I already talked about. There's 4 Rough Seas to heal damage, as I said. It pairs really well with the 3 Hard Charm that we're playing. And then I also tech 3 Weakness Policy, just because if the opponent is playing Virizion Genesect, it's going to have a hard time dealing a lot of damage to our Wailord if we have a Weakness Policy in there. If they had the G Booster, they could just 1-hit KO our Wailords, and we do not want that. So Weakness Policy, I think it's pretty cool in that regard. So that's the deck. So let's just play a match, because I think it's going to take a long time just get through this match, unless the opponent concedes or wins really quickly, because it's true, this deck sometimes does lose to itself by having stuff prize, or maybe the opponent has a quick start and we can't. I can start talking about the stuff that has a really easy time against this deck. So we're playing against a metal deck, which is kind of unfortunate. That kind of means that our hammers don't really do much. So right now I just want to go for the dive ball and grab the second Wailord. Okay, there's the dive ball. Just play it. Okay, we have the 4 Wailords in the deck, that's fine. Really nice. So let's just put the second one down and just pass the turn. Want to save this hue. I don't know where I want to do what I want to do with it. I can discard it and the weakness policy and just go for another Scala next turn. I think that's fine. But I actually think that using it to draw cards is going to be good here. Let's see. Okay, there's the Shaman, which is nice because our opponent is drawing cards. There's already still energy in the discard pile. I want to use my hammers to focus on the double colorless energy, because that's the energy that my opponent won't bring back. But ultimately they will be able to just get their Bronzongs, because we're not killing anything, so they will get there eventually. What? Lightning energy, that's unexpected. So it seems that my opponent probably is playing Manectric. Can use this a dive ball to go for another Wailord. That's cool because it takes one card from our deck. But at the same time, I'd rather play the Dowsing Machine and grab. I can play the Dowsing Machine and just discard this Ultra Ball, but that doesn't seem the greatest thing ever. Let's see. We can play a Skyla, grabbing, I don't know, a healing card like an AZ or something. Yeah, I like that actually. But I don't really need much here. I'm just thinking, okay, yeah, I'm going for that Skyla into some kind of slow healing card like the AZ. And that's it, let's just pass the turn. Not playing the stadium because I do not need to heal right now, and I do not want my opponent to put a stadium over ours. There's a muscle band, which is kind of annoying. This hit friend is going to deal a lot of damage to our Wailord. 130, that's half of our... Okay, there's a Headringer, which is not the worst. Means we can't play the Hard Charm in there, but we can just scoop this guy up. I don't know if my opponent knows what's up. But he's just charging his Aegislash, which also does over 100 damage. He can actually go for a 1-hit knockout with an Aegislash, which would be really annoying, but I don't even know if he has enough energy for that. Let's see how many energy does he need. So he needs to get, if we have a Hard Charm down, that's 270. So 270 minus 40, that's 230. So 24. He needs 12 energy. Yeah, I don't know if he plays as many, so I'm just going to assume he doesn't. Can go for the U, but my opponent would draw a card, and I don't really want to do that here. Can also play the AZ just to get rid of the Team Flare, but I don't think that's the way to go. So I'm just going to put the Wailord down and pass the turn. Putting the Wailord down in case our opponent ends. We'd rather have the Wailord on the table. We never know how things will go. Maybe we will need to Cassius a lot. Maybe we should have gone for Cassius instead of AZ, but oh well. Just because we'd rather play Cassius early on, because we have a lot more chances to draw a Wailord than we will have in the end of the game, when the opponent has a lot of pressure down. Okay, there's a Keldeo, which is annoying because my opponent can pair it with a Bronzong to just keep bringing stuff back. So there's a Juniper. Okay, so 24 cards in my opponent's deck. That's 24 turns that we need to wait until we maybe win. Computer search. There's probably the Floatstone coming. I'd be really surprised if it's not a Floatstone. My opponent puts an energy on Manectric. Maybe it isn't the Floatstone. I don't know. And he evolves into Mega Manectric. Okay, that's annoying because it can bring energy back, but at the same time there's the Bronzong, so my opponent could do that anyways. So there's that. Let's just pass the turn. I have a lot of draw card in my hand, so there's the Floatstone. Maybe my opponent already had it. Maybe you could play Zero Zik here just to get rid of those annoying Floatstones, but I don't know how good it would be against other decks. Okay, so 90 damage, we can still take another 90 damage, so I'm totally fine with that. I think I'm actually going for a Cassius here. Or I could go for the Team Flare Grunt, although I think my opponent could just... Well, I would be getting rid of Lightning Energy. So maybe my opponent does not have draw, and they would get stuck. But I actually only could do that the following turn, so I'm not going for that at all. Just going to pass a turn here. Oh yeah, could have played the stadium down also, but yeah, I kind of forgot about that, so that was a mistake for sure. But my opponent is dealing 90 damage and we will be at 100, so I can just pass the turn here. I think I'll play the Skyla, trying to draw as many cards as we can here. Can actually go for the Heart Charm or just another healing card like another Cassius, I guess. Or not really Cassius, maybe the Dive Ball for later. I mean, we can play a couple of Cassius if we manage to. No, I'm just going for an AZ, I think. Or maybe just go for a Heart Charm. Yeah, I like that. Just putting this down and just passing the turn. Okay, and turn. Kinda got stuck there for a little bit, but see what our opponent does here. If he is able to remove our Heart Charm, he can just kill a Wailord, but he has very few cards in hand, so I'm kinda hoping, yeah, no Wailord gets killed here, so we can just, oh, Scoop Up, that's nice. Let's try to use it. We can't, we fail, so we might as well just Cassius here, I think. Get this Wailord back into the deck. Yeah. Just go with this dude, I think. Yeah, end the turn. Because now we have the stadium down, so we can heal twice and actually avoid his getting 2-hit knocked out, and then we can AZ. Oh, there's a Seal Shelter. Forget what I just said. Well, it doesn't really matter, so 110 plus 110 is not enough. So we can actually just wait. Does healing 60 damage matter? So 110 plus 110, that's 220, minus 60, that's 160. So it's not enough. So might as well just keep this thing in hand, or maybe I just play it because I won't be playing anything else this turn. So kinda have Hue up for later if we need to draw cards. So might as well just get rid of this thing here. My opponent stopped playing supporters that draw cards, so maybe the Hue is going to be huge, no pun intended. More lightning energy coming down, don't really care about that. Okay, this is the time that we AZ. And we got a Skyla for later. Let's just AZ and put the Wailord down again and just pass the turn. Next turn we can Skyla and grab. Can go for the Dive Ball for another Wailord, because that just turns on all our Cassius. Kind of have to be a little deliberate here. Okay, there's another Manectric. I don't really know why my opponent would do that, because that just discards cards from his hand that he won't be able to shuffle back, and he just draws cards out of his deck, so... Okay, 90 damage. I can still take a lot of damage. This thing is going to do a lot of damage, but actually I think I'm going for the stadium here. How many stadiums do we have left? None? Okay, we have 1, 2, okay. That's fine. Let's put this thing down, heal damage, so 70 damage. If the opponent is dealing 90 and we heal 30, that's 60 damage a turn. Yeah, it's it's going to take a while for this Wailord to die. 130. Just going to try to take an energy out of the Manectric. We managed to get that. I'm taking it out of the Manectric because that's the only thing. I mean, it's a lightning energy that he can't bring back with Bronzong, and that kind of forces him to attack with something else. Because if we discard it from something else, he would just attack with a Manectric and call it a day. So okay, he has the energy in hand, so it didn't really make any difference. The stadium is not going to be enough here, so we have to AZ. Oh, Team Flare Grunt. I don't think we can do that here, so I just have to AZ our Wailord back into our hands and put it down again. We got rid of the Heart Charm, but oh well, what can you do? There's a VS Seeker. This is kind of the problem with this deck. Oh, there's an N, okay. Opponent actually plays the N, so we draw a lot of cards out of that, which is really nice. Can VS Seeker for something good, like an AZ here. Can also Trick Shovel twice, which I'm going to. Get rid of cards from my opponent's deck. Healing, 170. He's not doing 170 with his Aegislash, so I'm cool. Let's just play this thing. Your opponent's deck. Let's see what we discard. Bronzong, okay, whatever. Just wanna get rid of cards from his deck. Aegislash, okay, whatever. Might as well play this Tooth. And is he able to do 170? I don't think so. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 80 plus 80, 120. No energy coming back, so yeah, I don't think he can. So just going to stick with my max potions. Our enhanced dammers are just dead in this matchup. But my opponent is at 6 cards, so hopefully he does not play a lot of N's. But if he doesn't draw prizes, I mean, N is not the greatest after he's at 6 cards in his deck, so just do not let him draw prizes, and hopefully that's going to be it. Okay, 140 with this Aegislash. Let's try to scoop here. Hopefully we hit heads. Yay, we did. Okay, it's really good. It was really, really good. We can also Skylar for something nice here. I think I'm going to, might as well use our supporter and just bring a max potion back to our hand. Yep. Alright. It's going to be really hard for my opponent, I think. These max potions represent 3 turns. And then we can draw something nice. Okay, we did draw something nice here, so let's see. 1, I don't know. Yeah, I think I have to play the max potion, unfortunately. But maybe this Heart Charm will save us a turn. That's all that matters now, just saving turns. Every single card counts, so there's 120. We can heal off that damage. And my opponent cannot knock us out next turn, I think. So this is going to be really nice for us. Yeah, 160, I don't think he can get there. There's 5, 4, he needs to play a couple of energy to be able to, so... Okay, 120, we can just max potion again. We are drawing like the worst cards possible with these hammers. So, I'm going to keep the AZ just because it would get rid of the Heart Charm. But my opponent only has 2 cards in his deck, so... Hopefully this will be enough. Alright, so... Let's heal off the damage, and I guess just pass the turn. Yeah. 1 card left in my opponent's deck. There's Lysander. Okay, fine with that. I'm just going to play the AZ. Just bring this Wailord back, and I'm going to heal damage. Oh, and we can just win the game here because we just drew the Trick Shovel. So, yeah, I'm going to bring this guy back, put it down again, and then just Trick Shovel my opponent and just win the game here. Bam. Okay. That's it. That's the game. As you guys saw, this is a really annoying deck, and if the opponent is not ready, it can in fact just win the game. And because my opponent is playing like the typical 2-hit knockout deck, we just have a field day playing Wailords and just drawing cards really slowly and just healing and healing and healing. So is this deck invincible? I don't think so. Decks that kind of have a good matchup against this are, I don't know, Vriz and Genesect decks I think are really good, but because we're playing Weakness Policy, that kind of nullifies the G booster for 400 damage. So they kind of, if they, I don't know, if they take, Starling Megaphone in there, they can in fact hit the 400 damage. So maybe the Weakness Policy is not useful at all, but it kind of forces them to have the card in their deck. There's also, you can also attack Bunnelbees if you really want to beat Wailord, because if they have a Bunnelbee attacking, they would probably win the game. They would just refuse to play supporters. They just get the Bunnelbee in play and just put an energy in there and attack, 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 attack. And we would lose faster than they would. There's also, of course, Groudon, which just naturally, if they evolve into Groudon and then start playing the strong energies, they can get to 280 damage on a single attack. So even if we have the Hard Charm, it's not enough to prevent the one-hit knockout. And there's really nothing we can do to get rid of the energy on Groudon, so that's kind of a loss for this deck as well. And of course there's also the matches where we just lose because we're not able to draw the second Wailord, and that just cuts a lot of our draw, and we just spend a lot of max potions in the early game. I actually played a game while I was testing this deck against a metal deck that played the Mega Aggron, and they just kept dealing 400 damage every single turn since the third turn, and I really had a slow start where I couldn't find the second Wailord, and that was kind of my doom, because I had to spend a lot of max potions with a Skyless, and then later I didn't have the max potions, so I kind of spent, I had to use a supporter to heal in the turn, so yeah, that was kind of my doom, and I ended up losing. But it was still a close game, so yeah, sometimes we lose to ourselves when the opponent has a lot of early pressure. I don't know, if they play the Rayquaza deck that also does a lot of damage early on, although Rayquaza decks kind of need to draw a lot of cards to do that. But yeah, that's the deck. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I'm putting this up without testing it a lot, just because I wanted to be really quick and just show you guys the list. I hope you enjoy it. If you think my list has something wrong and should be playing something else, and please, you can suggest that in the comments below. Likes and subscribes are also appreciated. Thank you guys. See you next time. Bye.